Okay, now we've looked at the C-string object in a couple of different ways. We've designed some constructors for it. We've written the destructor, and now we've written a copy constructor. And it's about time for me to introduce you to an important rule. It's called the rule of three. And it pairs with another rule called the rule of zero and another rule called the rule of five that we'll talk about later. But the rule of three basically says that if you need to implement any of these, either the destructor or the copy constructor or the assignment operator, then you need to implement them all. And then the corollary is if you don't need to implement them, don't implement any of them, right? Implement none of them if you don't need to. So we just talked about, in the C string class that we just implemented, we needed a destructor to free the array. And because we need to free that array, it implies we might need to take a special action to make a deep copy when we're copying the object. And therefore, it similarly implies that when we assign the one object to another object, we might also need to make a deep copy or handle that array in a special way. All right, why does this make sense? Well, we needed to make a copy of the array, or we needed to delete the array. So that implies there's some memory that we're managing, that we have ownership of. And so if we don't do anything on a copy or an assignment, the compiler is just going to pass that pointer around from one object to another. And that could lead to bad situations where, maybe two different objects will have a pointer to the same array and they'll both try to delete that array when they get deleted. So like if we implement a destructor and we don't implement a copy constructor to do a deep copy, or we don't implement the assignment operator to do a deep copy, then we're going to end up in some really weird scenarios where things are happening that we don't want to have happen. So kind of eventually people realized that if you implement one of these things, either the copy constructor, the assignment operator, or the destructor, it implies you need to implement them all. So that's the rule of three. And if we ever realize, oh, I'm about to implement a destructor to do something, or I'm about to implement a copy constructor to do something, probably need to implement the other things as well. Leaving any of them out is a problem in some situation.